You could be on the Occupy Democrats Network page. You could be watching on Twitter, Twitch, X, whatever Twitter is called these days. I don't know, X, Y, Z. We appreciate you joining us, and we ask that you click on that subscriber link on the Occupy Democrats Network page. It's only a cup of coffee, $5 a month. You get extra content from yours truly, and we have a big show lined up for you today. We have a lot to talk about, and we certainly will be getting to this Alabama Supreme Court decision, which is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. There is no separation between church and state anymore, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the Alabama Supreme Court recently ruled in favor of a group of couples who sued a hospital that had their frozen embryos at the time they were destroyed. The frozen embryos were stored at the Mobile Infirmary Medical Center. And according to the Alabama Supreme Court, which is, of course, very conservative, they said our state constitution contains the following declaration of public safety. This state acknowledges, declares, and affirms that it is the public policy of this state to recognize and support the sanctity of unborn life and the right of unborn children, including the right to life. They also cited the Bible while talking about this ruling, which should have no bearing on public policy ever, hence the separation of church and state. Now, I'm sorry to be graphic with some of you, but I'm going to have to be in order to explain how outrageous, stupid, and ignorant and radical this decision is. If a woman is having her period, how many eggs are thrown away that are not used? Is that woman a murderer? That's exactly what the Alabama Supreme Court is saying. What would you say to that, to the thousands and thousands and thousands of eggs that are destroyed every month? It's the exact same thing if you want to talk about science. That could be a child. It's the same thing with an embryo. It's the exact same thing if you want to talk about science. So you're not going to win that argument. It is outrageous. And now it puts everyone in a bad position. Why? Because less than a week after this decision, two of the state's major IVF providers have suspended services as they consider the legal repercussions of the decision. They said, we are contacting patients that will be affected today to find solutions for them, and we are working as hard as we can to alert our legislators as to the far-reaching negative impact of this ruling on the women of Alabama. Hannah Eccles, a spokesperson for UAB, says we are saddened that this will impact our patients' attempts to have a baby through IVF, but we must evaluate the potential that our patients and our physicians could be prosecuted criminally or face punitive damages for following the standard of care for IVF treatments. Again, based on this ruling, just based on the ruling in general, any woman who has a period apparently is a murderer. This is so outrageous. It's so ridiculous. It pisses me off. And these right-wing radicals are nuts. What's next? Joining me in studio, Ileana Dropkin, who has been very, very much so involved in the Democratic Party. I wanted to get a female's perspective on this. Ileana, thank you so much for being here. I think this is absolutely outrageous. It's disgusting.
And it's dangerous.
And they can't separate church from state. I mean, it's just, what do you say to this?
I say that there's obviously no science backed in this decision or common sense because, first of all, it's called an embryo. It's not even called a fetus, right? So in utero, I believe it's 8 weeks for it to even be of development for a embryo to even be considered a fetus. So it's not even to that level. Plus, I believe it's something like, I looked it up, there is about 15% of embryos even result in a live birth or development of a baby. So they clearly didn't look at anything beyond, oh, well, it's a baby. It's not a baby. And it's just dangerous. And it's incredibly sad for the couples who desperately want a baby. And now, at least in Alabama, and we'll see how many red states follow suit, they're not going to be able to do that, right? Because everyone's going to be afraid of.
Guess who disagrees with you?
I don't care.
Nikki Haley.
Oh, I was just going to bring her up. Yeah,
listen to what Nikki Haley said in an
Awful.
interview yesterday, which is outright buffoonery. Here's what Nikki Haley said about this decision. Have a listen to this.
I mean, embryos to me are babies. So I
Even
mean,
those created through IVF.
I mean, I had artificial insemination. That's how I had my son. So when you look at, one thing is to have to save sperm or to save eggs, but when you talk about an embryo, you are talking about, to me, that's a life. And so I do see where that's coming from when they talk about that.
Okay, so I say again, when a woman has her time of the month and all those eggs aren't used, what's the difference?
I don't know that they're specifically referring to that because the case was embryos that were saved.
Right.
Harvested, saved.
But
right.
you can make the argument that that's going to be a life. It could be a life.
Well,
that's what they all say.
So my question is, what happens to the ones that don't take?
Right.
So what happens to the, say, if this number is accurate, 85% of these embryos that are harvested, saved, implanted in the woman that don't result in a baby, is that murder as well?
Yeah.
Is that negligence? And I can see why those IVF, that why they stopped, because there is so, it doesn't make sense.
Well, to these right-wing radicals, it does make sense. And I want to explain to you.
Because they don't understand science.
I want to explain to you who some of these people are. Not just the people that are on the Supreme Court in Alabama who are right-wing radical nutcases. I want to play you some audio because the people that are so not everybody, but some of the radicals, like those on the Supreme Court in Alabama, like Pastor Bobby Leonard. Pastor Bobby Leonard, if you don't know who he is somebody who has preached pro-life. He's called women murderers who get abortions. Well, we've got some audio from Pastor Bobby Leonard just from last week. And Pastor Bobby Leonard, who's at the Bible Baptist Tabernacle, I think that's how you pronounce his church, for 40 years. And he just recently spoke about what he thinks about women who wear short shorts. And then he made an analyzation to women that wear short shorts that get raped, and he defended rape. This is the same guy who calls himself pro-life. We have the audio to play it for you, and the reason why I want to play it for you, some of these right-wing radicals that call themselves pro-life, which they're not, by the way, are the same people that defend rape. Have a listen to this pastor, Bobby Leonard.
You find more women go in those places with shorts than you will women with pants and dresses put together. Try it. If you got time, try it. Have your boy go up there and try it. Just watch for him. Have your girl go up there and watch for it. And you know, I used to say this. I haven't said this in a long time. You ready? I said, if you dress like that and you get raped and I'm on the jury, he's going to go free. You don't like, do you? I'm right, though. I can't help you don't like it. I'm right. Because, a man's a man.
A man's a man. You have this pastor who's defending rape. He just said it himself, that if a woman is wearing short shorts, by the way, some men wear short shorts as well. If a woman is wearing short shorts and she happens, God forbid, to be raped, and if he was on the jury, he would set that man free. So in one instance with these right-wing radical nut jobs, they defend rape. Rape is okay. Don't wear short shorts. It's on you. A man will be a man. However, if a woman gets a legal abortion, they're the ones that are murderers. You cannot make this stuff up, and let me be very clear on this. This pastor is not the only person that thinks this way. It's not anecdotal evidence. It's not just one person.
I don't consider these people pro-life. I consider them pro-fetus. Because if they were pro-life, then they would look at the health and welfare of the woman. They would look at the health and welfare of all those helped by stem cells. So they're against all that. They're pro-fetus. I wish we would do a better job in identifying exactly what that is and stop calling it pro-life.
It's very simple. First
It's
of all,
pro-fetus.
on the discussion that is abortion, because it's involved in this, because the people that think this is such a great ruling are the
Well,
same people
this is where
who
they
think
wanted to
abortion
go.
is murder.
But these
And
people wanted to go here all along, right? This is kind of their end game, was to get embryos classified as
Right.
as human, as life. This is where they wanted to go all along.
the bottom line here is the people that call themselves pro-life are some, not all, but some of the same people, like Pastor Bobby Leonard. There's some of the same people that will talk about sins and think that being gay is the ultimate sin. They'll judge people based on their sexuality. They'll tell a woman what to do with their body, and they will praise and bow to the knees of Orange Man Cheeto Jesus. These are some of the biggest hypocrites in society. The same hypocrites out there that say Joe Biden has Alzheimer's, yet when Donald Trump tells us that he defeated Barack Obama and that you need ID to buy bread, they'll push that off to the side. These are some of the same people. They are, in my opinion, some of the biggest threats to our country, where they can't separate church from state. Guess what? If you think that all women are murderers that have abortions, then you can go ahead and think that. But don't tell other people what to do and live your own life. And if you want to have 200 crazy right-wing zealots, you just go ahead and do that. I wish you didn't, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. This situation here in Alabama, and by the way, I'm not surprised because there are a lot of nut job right-wing Republicans who can't separate church from state in Alabama, and quite frankly throughout the country,
Right.
that want to tell you what to do with your body.
Absolutely.
They want
It's red versus blue states. We
Right.
are becoming that. Like, this is we are a segregated country but this entails women's health, right? It is now a red versus blue. So any female who has or wants IVF or needs medical care. 'Cause people don't listen. I'm a female. I've had two luckily beautiful children, and I am just no woman goes in and goes, I want an abortion. That sounds great. Let's do it. Like, it is not like that. And for anyone to think that, and my thing is, how can other women think this is okay? They must have just had no medical issues ever, just charmed lives, nothing ever happened. But to think that is across the board for everyone, just it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. The only thing that I would say is that these people are mentally ill, and they want to judge others, and they want to recite the Bible all the time. And I'm not an extremely religious person, but does Jesus say that we should judge others?
But not only that, like, what you have is women becoming second-class citizens.
Yeah, you're
Like,
right.
my medical care is not judged the same as your medical care. And until, I know everyone, whatever you think about Obamacare, right? Like, until Obamacare came along, me having a pregnancy was considered a pre-existing condition. And that went against my ability to get insurance.
It's interesting, right? The Make America Great Again, because people ask me, what does Make America Great Again? What does it really mean?
That's a dog whistle.
It wasn't that long ago that women weren't allowed to vote.
Right.
It wasn't that long ago, when you consider how long this earth has been here, that black people were owned as slaves.
And considered not a full person.
When was America great?
Well, I think I don't think any country is truly great. We're evolving, right? Every country has its good and its bad. We're evolving. And we should strive for better. And so I don't like the term great. Just strive for better.
You know what I think when most of these people, not all, but most of these people say make America great again?
They don't understand what it means.
You know what I think they think it means?
What?
Let's make America white. We don't want brown people in this country. We don't want women to vote. That's what I think they think making America great is. A bunch of middle-aged, white, racist bigots in this country.
I'm not so sure about that, mostly because I have relatives and very close friends who are big MAGA, and they truly don't understand what it means. They cannot tell
then
me
they're
for the life
ignorant.
of them what it exactly.
Then they're ignorant.
That's what
Yeah.
it is. This is all rooted in ignorance,
But
including these Supreme Court justices in Alabama. Like, there was no thought of, if we do this, what would the ramifications be?
I actually think a lot of these middle-aged white men that are huge MAGA supporters would tell you they wish we could go back to the 1920s and the 1930s.
But I don't think they understand what that means. Like, I really don't because you do have.
Well, chances are if they listen and believe every word that Donald Trump says, they're probably not very educated to begin with.
Right. That's kind of what we go back to. We
of
have
course.
That's the epidemic we have in this
country. But
country, right?
it's important because this pastor who preaches God in the Bible all the time, Pastor Bobby Leonard,
People are listening.
is defending rape. He has a platform. He's a pretty popular pastor. He's defending rape. That's exactly what he's doing. He said he would let a man go free if a woman was raped if she was wearing short shorts. He actually said that if he was on the jury, he'd let him free. And then he said, let men be men. Well, let me tell you something. You SOB, you bigot, and you despicable excuse for a pastor. Because I know not every pastor believes what this pastor believes. Let me tell you something. Most men do not rape women. Most men don't do the things that Donald Trump has done to women. Most men do not treat women with disrespect. We look at women as equals to us. Pastor, you should resign from your position, and anybody out there across the country that thinks if you're a woman who gets a legal abortion that you're a murderer, I want you to move to Russia, and please stay there. And bring drugs with you because I hope they catch you. I really do. I hope Vladimir Putin catches you. And then you can praise Vladimir Putin when you're behind bars or maybe being poisoned to death. I am so sick of this part of this country. I am so sick of it. And then you got morons like Brian Kilmeade, who yesterday say, I'm so sick of what's happening in New York City to Donald Trump. I'm going to move to Florida. Good. Why don't you move into a cave in Afghanistan while you're at it? Get the hell out of New York. I guarantee you most New Yorkers don't want and I'm sorry, it wasn't Brian Kilmeade. It was the other little turd who does a show late at night, The Five. I'm forgetting his name. Although Brian Kilmeade probably would say something like that because I'm not a fan of his either. I mean, it's so ridiculous, these people. It's insanity.
It's dangerous.
And while all this is going on, and of course Fox Noise and OAN and Newsmax, they won't be talking about this threat that the Supreme Court in Alabama have ruled upon, but they'll cry foul when Donald Trump has to actually be, what's the word I'm looking for here, actually has to be in a courtroom and somebody has to hold him accountable for what he's done. That's terrible. Judgment of $300 or $400 million. Oh my God, nobody's going to do business in New York City again. Yes, they will. Guess what? Don't break the law. Don't lie. Don't say your property is worth $1.5 billion when maybe it's worth $100 million. It'd be one thing if you overappraise the property times 2, not times 10. Right. That's what Donald Trump did. And these people, the guy from Shark Tank who's saying, oh my God, this is outrageous. And
let them go somewhere else.
I'm never going to do business in New York. Good. Don't do business in New York. Get the hell out of this country while you're at it, you buffoon.
It is
Good.
First of all, New York is the financial epicenter of the country. So go ahead, go somewhere else, please.
The people that are calling women murderers for getting abortions.
Listen, I know you have.
They're the same people that defend Kyle Rittenhouse. They're the same people that defend the McCloskeys. They're the same people that defend Donald Trump. But all women are murderers if they get legal abortions. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump has had abortions.
You have a niece. I have a daughter. I've cousins, little ones who are coming up, and it's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying to me that this is what they're going to be subjected to or have to deal with. Right. So the only way that it's going to change is people have to get activated. And I talk about this a lot every time I come on. Like, if you really disagree with this, stand up. Stand up, vote, do something to change this course that we're on. But we'll just have to see how many red states kind of follow suit and pick up this.
And it's amazing to me, the MAGA Cheeto Jesus defenders out there that'll say, what law did Donald Trump break? Well, first of all, I will go back to the 91 felony counts that Donald Trump is facing, including the very serious Espionage Act. And if you're going to be talking about the, I think it was somewhere close to $400 million payment that he's going to have to make here, why don't you actually take the time to read the case and realize why a judgment was made against Donald Trump? I shouldn't have to be the one to educate you on that. I'm not going to waste my time with these MAGA morons, quite frankly, for lack of a better term.
If it was somebody else, they would be prosecuted just the same. That's the thing. Like, it's not he's not being gone after unfairly. He's actually been given latitude where other defendants in the same who've committed the same type of crimes would not have been given.
Yeah, and the
his
bottom
outbursts, all the things that he's done would not have been tolerated if he wasn't who he is.
Yeah, and the bottom line is Donald Trump is going to be a convicted felon, whether you like it or not, ladies and gentlemen. Then they'll say it was George Soros, or it was a liberal judge, or it was a liberal jury. They'll use every excuse in the book. And now we are living in a situation where the Alabama Supreme Court, which we are discussing, ruling that embryos created through fertilization are considered vitro fertilization are considered children, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I go back to this logic because it's important to note this. By that logic, science, an embryo created through vitro fertilization could be a child. In that case, every egg that a woman has every month could be a child as well. So what does that mean? Women should never be allowed to have periods again? I mean, there is no logic here in dealing with these people. It's so stupid. But you know what? There'll probably be people that will defend it. The alt-right, ladies and gentlemen, the far alt-right that say more guns make us safer. The ones every day that are obsessed with the border, that think drag queen reading to kids is the sky falling down. Okay? But when it comes to real issues facing this country, like gun violence, like health care, for example, maternity leave. Do you ever hear Republicans fighting for that, fighting for women? No, of course they don't. I'm going to open up the phone lines. So if you guys want to be a part of the conversation, now's the time to do so. The number to call, what do you think about the Alabama Supreme Court putting down this ruling? All the people that are now put at risk. What do you make of the fact that people that work within the health systems are saying, they will no longer fertilize eggs or develop embryos? How bad this is for people in Alabama, and how bad this could be for people all across this country because of a few right-wing idiots on the Alabama Supreme Court that are just complete bozos and morons. They talk about God, they talk about Jesus, they talk about Cheeto Jesus. It's really an abomination. Phone number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Why don't we take a few calls now? The number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Why don't we start off with Lori? Lori is first up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Lori. What's going on?
Hi. I think out of the box. What I hear with this ruling is they're going to have a whole lot of adoptable babies because they have anti-abortion laws.
Yeah.
So they're going to need to have all these parents that are trying to get pregnant or freezing embryos for a later date. They're going to need them to be adopting babies instead of doing their own.
Right. Yeah. I make that case all the time, when it comes to abortion, Lori, which is right now there are hundreds of thousands of kids that are waiting to be adopted. I think we've talked about this before, and that's with abortion for the most part being legal still in this country. Imagine if we did what all the right-wing zealots want us to do, which is make abortion illegal across the board. There would be millions and millions and millions and millions of kids waiting to be adopted. But the same people out there,
right?
The same people out
they
there,
live in orphanages till they're 18.
Right, exactly. The same people.
Yeah, they foster care, but there's not enough foster parents either.
Because after 2, they're unadoptable.
And the same people out there that are preaching abortion is murder are the same people that haven't adopted any kids themselves. They're the biggest hypocrites in the world, and I'm sick of it.
And another thing I see with this is it's a green light to all these states like Florida, where I live, to go ahead and make absolute bans.
Yeah.
Look, we're ruling, so you can just say, look at the Supreme Court in Alabama. They say it's a baby as soon as the egg meets the sperm.
Exactly. And, here's the thing, right? If you call yourself pro-life, and after that baby is born, you try to do everything you can to help that mother raise that child. You walk the walk and talk the talk. That's one thing. But when you look at the evangelical right and you look at these people on the far right that are in office, they do the exact opposite. As soon as that baby is born, they're against every government program that can help that mother raise that child. It could be welfare. It could be food stamps. It could be maternity leave. It could be any government program that can help that mother raise that child. And they vote against it. They are not pro-life. Right. They are anti-life based on policy and based the way they vote.
Pro-fetus. They're not pro-life.
They're
pro-fetus.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the exactly.
You need to start terming that. It
Yeah.
is pro-fetus.
Yeah,
it
you're
is not
pro-fetus.
pro-life.
You're not pro-life.
Yeah.
You're anti-life. The way they vote, these Republicans in office, it's despicable.
Wait, but I know a lot of pro-lifers who will also they're fine with having an abortion themselves. Like that is it's just so not all of them, but I do know a few who just claim to be pro-life, and they're like, oh, but if I were to get pregnant right now, I'm going to take care of it, and like, you can't have it both ways.
And they're absolutely all okay with Russian bombing hospitals and schools, and that's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm with you, Lori. It's absolutely ridiculous. I appreciate your perspective, and I appreciate you calling in, Lori. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day.
You too. So it's interesting. Some people on social media say, Brian, is all you do yell? So this is for them. This is for all you people that don't like me yelling. I think if you're one of those people that thinks if a woman has an abortion, they're a murderer, you're a frickin' whack job. If you're one of those people that thinks the Alabama Supreme Court ruling was just, then you're a whack job. Those were for all my people out there that think the yelling is too much. I hope that you understood what I just said there. I didn't yell. I did that just for you. You right-wing zealot nut jobs out there, that's what you are. There's a reason why there's something called separation between church and state, but you right-wing nuts out there can't do it, can you? It's interesting. I was listening to someone yesterday talk about this. It can't be hatred towards gay people if your religion says it's okay to do that. I mean, can you be any more ignorant? You people out there that are bigots, that treat people differently because they might be transgender or they might be gay, and then you hide behind your religion like the cowards that you are. Oh, well, my religion says being gay, is a sin. No, you're a bigot, and you use your religion because you cowered behind it. You are a bigot.
What about that poor 16-year-old who was killed? Like, she was beaten up in the bathroom at school and ended up dying. Like, who was advocating for her life?
And by the way,
was she not considered alive? Is she not considered human? Mm-hmm. Because it is an ignorant. It's more than what's more than ignorant. Like, don't understand the words they say. Yeah. They don't understand the things that they believe in because they don't think it out.
Now I agree.
Right?
I agree. We happen to be talking about this Supreme Court decision in Alabama. We happen to be talking about abortion. But let me be very clear and speak very slowly and quietly to my MAGA listeners out there, okay? It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, even though most of the stuff is coming from the far right. If you treat somebody differently because of their sexuality or because of their gender or because of what they look like, you are a bigot. Doesn't matter whether you're a Christian, Jewish, anything. All I'm simply saying is this stuff is coming from the far right, and most of it, not all of it, is coming from Christianity. The far right zealots out there. That's where most of this is coming from. I hope that makes sense for some of you. Let's get back to the phone calls now. Who are we going to next? We're going to Raina. Raina is next up on Pushing Limits. Hi, Raina.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, Raina. What's on your mind?
Hello.
I'm going to say this. The Alabama Supreme Court thing is just that. It's a thing. Because if those fetuses are considered human now, where's the tax credits? Where's the insurance? What happens to the bank if one of the cryo fridges go out? Mm-hmm. Is that going to be considered compound murder?
Yeah, that's true.
It's bullcrap.
No, you're right. You're right.
It's bull.
You're right, George.
And it's bull because they're doing this. They're not even doing it for money. They're doing it just because they can. Like somebody said, it's the dog that caught the car and they got the busted teeth to prove it.
Somebody just said on social media, I have 13 embryos. Can I claim them for a tax credit? Which is kind of funny.
Exactly. That's the point. But the second is, I bet you if even one person sues the Supreme Court or Alabama for that one reason, somebody please go do it.
I heard Donald Trump has 140 embryos in his freezer, but he's not releasing his tax returns, so we don't know whether he did that or not. I don't know. I can't confirm.
Well, he already ate them.
Yeah, he probably did. No, you're absolutely right.
Somebody needs to go sue the Alabama state for insurance, tax credits, state credit, for every last one of those embryos that somebody has, hint, hint,
Yeah.
in the cryo things. Because so we already said after abortion they were going to go after IVF.
By the way, I'll add something
so the
else.
next thing that yes, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to add something else. I guarantee you, and you could tell me whether you disagree, Ileana. Renee, is that your name? I'm sorry. Was it Renee?
It's Rena.
Rena, I apologize. I guarantee you that the people on the Alabama Supreme Court, all of them who voted to put this ridiculous ruling in place, they absolutely support the liable rapist, the orange turd, Donald Trump. I guarantee you they're all Trumpers.
Probably, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. I
It's
don't know.
Alabama.
They've got to be.
They are.
They've got
They
to
are.
Be. Well, I appreciate.
I looked it up. They are.
Not surprising. I appreciate your phone call. It's good to hear from you, and we got to just keep calling this out. That's all we can do, okay?
Yes, sir. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. You too, and I appreciate your perspective and phone call. Thank you very much. 702-221-7283. Why don't we go to Matthew? Matthew is next up on Pushing Limits. Hi, Matthew.
Hello there.
Hi, Matt. What's on your mind?
Hi.
Well, I just want to say thank you for talking about this very important topic. I'm calling in as a former evangelical Christian, but I'm not going to defend their position. I'm just going to speak kind of the experience that I have and the awareness of kind of where they're heading with this.
Okay.
I think that they're doing a really good job, as religious people often will do, getting us caught up discussing the minutia of belief. There's belief and there's law, and those are two separate things. Between church. So one of my big questions is, and Rena started to bring up, someone should sue the state. My question is, what are the mechanisms in place that have allowed America to get to this point without having God in all of our laws? There must be something. Like, I know the Congress has a mandate that they're not to favor in their actions any one specific
Well, do you think
religion or
that do you think that God should be in our laws?
Well, no, clearly not. I mean, that's kind of part of why America was founded. We were revolting against a number of things, and one of them was religious rule.
Right, correct.
So I think that if God...
Why do you think there's so many people on the far right, particularly, because that's really what we're talking about here, that cannot separate church from state? I mean, Mike Johnson is a guy, when you ask him about his positions on anything, he'll just usually say, refer to the Bible. I mean, it's like, you're a politician, you're a lawmaker, and that should have no bearing on your religious beliefs. I'm so tired of these people.
Well, and that's okay, so I would break my response into two parts. The first part, going back to what are the mechanisms, like the one for Congress, that says this shouldn't happen. So in other words, they enacted a law, and it quotes God said, so I'm doing it on behalf of God. That shouldn't happen. So where's the trigger? What is supposed to trigger where someone from the federal government or any part of government sues the state and says, absolutely not, we don't have laws that say God because of this mechanism that has protected us up to this point. So we could talk all day long about what we think about but someone put God in a law, now let's go ahead and sue and strike it down. Right. Why does it go beyond, in terms of law, that point? We could talk about the minutia of our thoughts and feelings all day long, and that's the freedom of religion.
Correct. You know what? You're right. That's what I would never do. I would never tell somebody else what to do. If you want to believe in the Tooth Fairy or Orange Jesus, you go ahead and do that. That's your religion. That's what you believe in, and I'm not. But here's what gets me really angry, Matt and Ileana. This is what gets me really upset, among many other things, is a guy like a Mike Johnson who preaches the Bible. Is there a chapter or a verse in the Bible that talks about overturning the outcome of a free and fair election with a fake electorate scheme? I would ask Mike Johnson that.
No.
What passage in the Bible says that you could attack our democracy because you don't like the outcome of a free and fair election? Mike Johnson is the biggest hypocrite in Washington, D.C. He is a nut job. And the fact of the matter is that back in 2020, he was part of a scheme to try to overturn the outcome of a free and fair election. He has zero credibility, and he has no moral compass.
I don't think he'll be in the
Correct.
role long. But to kind of go back to what you were saying, I think that we've gotten away from people understanding civics and understanding how government works. I think we've gotten away from it in school to where now people are out there and have zero idea of how anything works. Everyone downs politics, and they really just kind of down it. My thing is everyone should have to work on a campaign. Everyone should have to see how the sausage is made and go through that process to have respect for it. You may not like it, but it guides everything we do, right? We have roads because of it, hospitals, like to understand how all that works, and we don't. And so to answer your question, I really believe that that's how we've become a lot more ignorant and more getting away from that separation because they don't understand what it is in the first place.
So is there a legal avenue that should have been triggered that wasn't, and we don't know why, or that someone has to, like, do I have to sue Alabama and bring it up myself and say, hey, no religious laws? Does an individual have to take it on their responsibility?
I think the hospitals
to
should
stop religious law?
I think the hospitals. I think the hospitals
or
should
the
sue.
doctors, the AMA, that it would have to be. Yeah, it would have to be someone who has standing, right? And anything with legal, I'm not an attorney,
right.
So but
you
have to have standing. So if you're a party that is harmed by the law, you can then bring suit, and then they would have to look at that.
Or be Jewish, because the Jewish don't believe the same as the evangelicals who put this law forward. And some Jewish communities have come out and said, listen, that's not our belief. You can't take away and limit our practices because of your specific belief.
Yeah,
so
right.
That's where I was thinking. Yeah. To answer your question about, why are they doing this? Because they're afraid. You've got two parties that are in decline. You've got the evangelicals that know the numbers are dropping, as you could see by the ad they put in the Super Bowl. They're desperate for numbers. And you've got white conservatives, who just, they know that they're not going to keep winning national elections. And so what do? The enemy of my enemy is my best friend. You take the two parties. Donald Trump was a little bit genius in this way. He teamed up with the Heritage Foundation. He put all their judges in place and said, you know what? We're both in trouble if we don't team up together. So you've got two terrified parties fighting for their existence. And that's where you get this kind of I don't care about the truth, because my truth is that if I don't do this and if I don't win, I won't exist.
I think
they're going to come for me. That's why they use language. They're coming for you. They're coming for you. Yeah. They really do feel as though they're going to be extinguished just because they can't be the majority.
Matthew, I think you're 100% correct. I think it's very well said. You're right. They're scared. And a lot of these older, maybe white Republicans are afraid that the country isn't looking like them. And they're scared. And that's why they're obsessed with the border. They're scared. They don't think that they don't think that these people that are illegal in this country are going to rape their kids or kidnap their family. No. They don't really believe that, unless you're Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's obviously not very bright. But the overwhelming majority of these Republicans don't believe that. But they say it over and over again because they want to scare you into believing it. But really what they're scared about is they're afraid that this country is not looking like them every day. They're afraid. They want to be the majority. White people in this country, they want to be the majority. And it frightens them and it scares them if more brown people are coming into this country. Let me tell you something. I want that. That's what I want. I want it to be very diverse in this country. Many people on the evangelical right don't. Matthew, I appreciate your phone call. Very good call and your perspective, very much so. Please call back again, okay?
We also
Certainly,
don't get out.
Thank you.
Like a lot of those areas don't travel, so they don't get out of their community. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. Like there's not that broad education of mixing of cultures, of mixing of ideas.
Well, they don't. These people don't want a mixing of ideas. They're set in their ways.
Because, but there's an ignorance to that.
Absolutely.
And so it allows them to that just keeps spinning around for them, right? It keeps spurning and it becomes and then you have someone like a Donald Trump who comes up and says, I get you, I hear you, where maybe other politicians haven't, and that's why you have this. It's been there, it's just brewing.
Good to hear from somebody that is a former evangelical Christian. Let's go to Dave next. 702-221-7283. What's up, Dave?
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. How's it going, Dave?
Real well. I got so many notes here, it's hard to know where to start. I'm going to try not to be windy. First of all, the interview you had yesterday was awesome with George Sanos. That his name?
George Chanos. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, but the one point I'd like to make is this: they call the right calls the left educated elitists, right? Mm-hmm. But they're more than ready to throw their educated elitists at us and brag about the education that their people have when they have it. And I found him also to be a MAGA in moderate clothing. But beside that, concerning the abortion issue and the Alabama decision, I got a quick story to share with you. I haven't talked to my brother in 2 years, and I know a lot about what the gut of one of these MAGA Republicans look like, because and it's very divisive within families. And I changed the way that I felt about society, but he didn't. He stayed the same. He got rich. He has millions of dollars, and one thing that I'm finding, as far as the mix of MAGAs go, it's not just ignorant people uneducated people.
Yeah, I've never said that.
Because
I agree.
He's very educated.
I agree. Now
and
listen,
very smart.
Dave. I've never said that, right? There's a percentage of
No.
Right,
I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying that people out
isn't
there.
Yeah.
No. I'm on the bandwagon here.
Yep.
But there is one thing that happens when people get, and this is the other mix, is the rich. There's one thing that happens that I saw happen to my brother when they get money in their pocket. They think that the money that they put in their pocket when they started with nothing, which is what my brother did, and I'll hand it to him. He worked hard for what he has, but they think that the money answers all the questions that need to be answered, and that they are successful, and that they are more knowledgeable than you are because they found out how to get money into their bank account. So they don't have to listen to anybody else except to someone like Trump, who says, I'm going to make sure you keep all that money in your bank account. We have a saying that we use in drama. I was a drama coach, and it's called willful suspension of disbelief. Have you ever heard that expression?
I have. Yes, I have. Yep.
And I think that's what's really going on here. There are a lot of smart people who are using willful suspension of disbelief to verify their choices, and they think they're right. And they have a right to think they're right, but that doesn't mean they're right.
You have a
and
right.
That's
you have a right to think you're right, but you don't have a right to tell other people what to do. And that's what these right-wing
That's exactly right.
That's what these
That's
these right-wing evangelicals, they want to tell you, don't take your kids to drag queen reading day. It's not okay to tell your kids that it's okay to be gay. It's just absurd. Being gay is a sin. If you have a legal abortion, you're a murderer. These people are so disgusting. If you want to believe those things, like you said, sir, if you want to believe those things, you go ahead and believe that. If you want to have 500 kids, go ahead and have 500 kids, but don't tell other women what to do with their bodies. I'm so sick and tired of people in society telling other people what to do. You shouldn't have a booster shot. You shouldn't have a vaccine. Hey, numbnuts, don't tell other people what to do with their bodies. I saw this woman, sir, outside of a Raiders game last year, and I've told this story before. She has a big sign up that says, don't tell me what to do with my body. She was an anti-vaxxer, and I went up to her and I said, okay, I'll buy that. I don't think that anybody should be forced to have the vaccine. But what about abortion? Right. What about abortion? And then she looks at me and she goes, oh, well, that's very different. No, it's not. We're talking about your own body. It's either you're on board and it's my body, my choice, or you're not. And I called her a freaking hypocrite because that's what she is, and that's what everybody else is. If you're saying that you shouldn't force anybody to have a vaccine, great. I agree with you. But then don't tell me that the government should get involved and tell you whether you can or can't have an abortion. It's you can't have it both ways.
Yeah, I got one more quick point. My sister-in-law, the same brother, his wife, was forced to have her baby when she was 15 years old by her parents. She's a Catholic, and she gave that baby up for adoption, and they made her give the baby up for adoption. And she discovered this kid had been living 2 miles from her throughout her whole marriage with my brother, and she didn't know it, and he didn't know it. And then ancestor night, 20 whatever it's called, they found each other, and they were never supposed to have found each other.
That's
and
horrible.
she became, yes, it is, and it turned the whole family upside down. And
sorry to hear that. That's terrible. No family should have to go through that. I think you've made some great points, sir. I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah,
and,
I know. I got windy.
No, sir. That's quite all right. If you make great points, you can be windy. I'm totally okay with that. I appreciate your call, sir. Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you.
Well, thanks for listening.
Absolutely.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. So somebody just called, said on social media, the government forced people to get vaccinated.
No,
are people that ignorant that they
Yes.
don't understand? Clearly, Tyler doesn't understand that the government only forced you to get a vaccination if you work for the government. If you ban abortion, it doesn't matter what job you have. You can't have an abortion. That's what the evangelical right wants you to do.
Wait,
if
hold
you
on.
work at a job, okay, if you're at a job where they want you to have a vaccination or you can't work there, then you can get another job.
As a female, I'm going to say we should not equate like needing medical care like an abortion with a vaccine.
Well, the reason why I brought that up, here's why I brought that up, because the people that say my body, my choice, I don't want to get vaccinated, are also the same people that call themselves pro-life that think getting an abortion is a murder.
Right,
you can't have it both ways.
But they're not equal. They're absolutely not equal.
They're different topics, but it's your body, right? And I don't want to tell people.
It's your body, but it's certainly not an equal. Not.
I don't want to tell people what to do with their body. For example, if Melania Trump wants to cuddle with Donald Trump, I'm not going to tell her what to do. She's entitled to do that. I don't think she is doing that.
I don't need that image. That's a horrible image.
I don't think they've cuddled or held hands or even kissed probably since Barron was conceived.
I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, but anyway. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Ileana, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be taking a call from Julie. I know everybody's looking forward to that.
Yes, Julie.
The number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. We're talking about the Alabama Supreme Court's decision. It's unbelievable. Vitro fertilization, these embryos are considered children. I better not have eggs anymore. I'm eating children. I mean, I really got to stop doing that, or at least make them scrambled. Anyway, give us a call, 702-221-7283, 702-221-7283. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds, and Julie will be our first caller when we come back. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
I'm Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, former Lieutenant Governor candidate, Progressive Independent Democrat, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, fully transitioned transgender woman. I support women's rights and veterans and unions and other progressive ideas. Please donate to my campaign on Spot Fund and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Stay progressive, everybody.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Show. Whether it's shopping during any one of our live shows right here on AM 1400 or listening live on the KSHP app, you can always call in at 702-221-7283 to pick up great deals with your favorite host. Or shop 24/7 at kshp.com. Go to kshp.com and select Shopper's Guide to browse hundreds of businesses featured on the show. Place your order online and we'll have it shipped right to your front door. With so many possibilities, it's hard not to shop.
All right, welcome back. Those of you just joining us, talking about the Alabama court citing the Bible, by the way, while ruling embryos are children. I do have some positive news, and that wasn't it. I will be giving away a pair of tickets to Jersey Boys in hour number 2, so you're going to want to stick around for that. Ileana Dropkin joining us in studio, very active within the Democratic Party. Nice enough to be in studio with us. I wanted to get the female's perspective, which I usually need on just about everything, not just this topic, to be honest with you.
Very true, yes.
To be honest with you. All right, so I promised we would take Julie's call coming back from break.
Can't wait.
So I'm clearly I'm a man of my word, even though somebody yesterday said I'm full of propaganda. That was a wonderful call. All right, Julie, you're up. What's going on?
Hello, guys.
Hi,
Brian, hello. You know that I am registered nurse, because I have said that before, okay? And it really, really sad me listening to you go today saying that an embryo is not a living organism. Brian, an embryo.
Did I say? Hold on, let's backtrack. Nope, you don't get to.
You said.
Go down. You don't get to continue your statement when you say something I said that I didn't say. Let me ask Ileana, because she's been sitting right next to me. Did I ever say an embryo wasn't a living organism?
No, and we know it is, but it's not classified as a child.
So
That's
Ileana said I never said that. I'm sorry, Numchuck, to ask you. Hold on, Numchuck. My producer is sitting right here, and I hate to bother him because he's got a lot of responsibilities, but did I say that an embryo wasn't a living organism?
Not once.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry, Numchuck. I only ask you to speak when it's very prevalent. I know he doesn't like to, but I appreciate that. Okay, so Julie, I have two people that are sitting 1 foot away from me that claim that I didn't say what you claim I said. Would you like to now retract your statement? Because if you do, then I'm happy to continue the conversation with you.
Okay. Pregnancy is divided.
Are you willing to retract what you just said? Yes or no? Admit that you were wrong, and then we will continue the conversation.
You said that an embryo. You said that an embryo is not a baby. It is a baby.
Okay.
What is the difference between?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's not even a fetus.
Allow me to speak because you are not a registered nurse. Let me finish.
Oh, because you're a registered nurse, you're right? Okay, yeah, because you're
of course.
Allegedly. Where are you a nurse? Why don't you tell me where you're a nurse? Where did you go to school? Where did you go to school to get your education? Where did you go to school? Where did you go?
Florida International University.
Gotcha.
Listen up, Brian.
Trump University.
Okay.
I got you. Okay, so where do you work? What hospital do you work at?
Allow me to speak.
Answer the question. Answer the question. What hospital do you work at, Julie?
You are
Trump
rude.
Hospital.
I work for
what
Miami.
Hospital? What
Miami
hospital do you work at, Julie?
Hospital.
Julie, what hospital?
Miami.
What are your hours so
Brian,
we can go visit you, Julie? What are your hours?
Aren't you ashamed? Aren't you ashamed?
Aren't you ashamed that you're a nurse? Aren't you
need
ashamed?
psychological. You need a psychiatrist.
Yeah. It's called comedy, Julie. It's called comedy, Julie. Oh, yeah, I'm rude. It's called
rude.
Hey, Julie, it's called comedy because every single time you call in, people laugh at you because you make
No,
ridiculous
well,
claims
I don't,
because you're embarrassing.
I don't mind who's laughing at me because that's very rude.
Okay.
And you are always
Gotcha.
interrupting
So
people
don't
who
you
disagree with you.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
you need
I
to
had
listen.
Put her down again. See, I had a guy in studio a couple days ago, and even though I disagreed with him, Julie, on just about everything he said, we had a 90-minute conversation. We had respect for one another. I didn't interrupt him once. You know why, Julie? Because he's an educated man who can put a sentence together. That's why. You started off the conversation by misquoting me and claiming I said something on the air that I didn't say. And then the reason why I get frustrated with you is because you didn't say, okay, Brian, I'm wrong. You didn't say that, but here's why I disagree with you. And then I wouldn't have interrupted you, and you could have continued your conversation. You see, Julie, people like you can't admit you're wrong. You're brainwashed by Newsmax and Fox News and your orange turd leader, Donald Trump. If you think that an embryo is a child, you have the right to think that way. But next time you call into the show, don't start by claiming I said something that I didn't say, which is, by the way, something you do every time you call into this show. Do you understand? Hello, Earth to
Brian.
Julie.
Brian,
Julie.
you never allow me to speak. You always interrupt me.
Okay, well, Julie, you're absolutely right. Today, I'm not going to allow you to speak anymore. Next time you call into this show, don't start the phone call misquoting me. Or I will say on the air every day until you stop, Julie is a liberal and she's a huge Hillary Clinton supporter. In fact, next time you call into this show, Julie, until you actually say something that makes sense, I'm going to say our residential liberal and a huge Hillary Clinton supporter, Julie, is up next. In fact, I'm going to start doing that tomorrow until you actually call in and say something that makes sense. Holy smokes. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Sue. Sue is next on Pushing Limits. Hi, Sue.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. I wanted to give you my background real quick, because my opinion on this is going to be a little controversial. So I want to give you the background first. I'm a flaming liberal. So far left, I've fallen off the end of the flat Earth, and I am just a recently out of the closet atheist. Spent my whole life, having to keep that a secret. So all this religious stuff being brought down on anybody's religion, it just bugs the daylights out of me. And I also have a gay son. So if you can just picture how far liberal I am. But what I want to say is, I was kind of not happy, but I was kind of glad that this came out the way it did, because now it affects them. Now they're going to see abortion didn't affect them. Now that they're going to see that they can't do in vitro fertilization, and I did a thesis paper in college about the difference between, and how all the arguments about how the eggs are can be used, the eggs that are in the lab can be used for other people. And the truth was, the statistics bore out that other people don't take somebody else's fertilized egg. They want their own. They want their genes. So hundreds of thousands of these are getting destroyed. So I don't care about those being destroyed. I don't think they're a life. I don't think it in the womb at conception. I don't think that's a life. And even if it was, it's parasitic in the sense that it needs the mother to take the risk. I almost died in childbirth, so I know what a situation that is.
Right.
So it's knocking on their door now. That's the only way they're going to care about it.
Yeah, I think that's really Ileana. I don't know if you want to comment on what she said, but I think
I agree with what you're saying. There's a lot of innocent people that are caught up in that, right? And so that I feel sorry for. It's not the same when you're faced with, I don't know how many women feel the same, but when you want to have a child and you can't have a child, and but you still want it to be part of you, part of your partner, and not be able to do that, and there's such a small window. And so I feel sorry for the people who will be affected by this.
Yeah, I am as well.
So I mean, while I do kind of agree with you, it's putting the same with abortion, right? Like, these people voted these people in who did that, and so they're dealing with ramifications, but you have so many innocent people that are caught up in that, and I feel sorry.
But on a lighter note, I will say this: I used to be an atheist, but now my Lord and Savior is Orange Man. I mean, he's Cheeto Jesus, and I believe in Cheeto Jesus. I'm going to buy those gold sneakers.
So you think God sent Trump down? Did he run out of locusts?
God sent him down so that he could assault women and rape women and cheat and lie, and his entire life be a snake oil salesman and create something called Trump University. God sent Trump down from Earth so that he could have unprotected sex with Stormy Daniels a couple months after Barron was conceived. He's such a loving human being, and he has so much compassion for other people.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, the fact that he would offer a 19 pair of sneakers for $400 shows you what a wonderful human being he is, and how intelligent his supporters are that can't even afford eggs. They can't even afford eggs and a loaf of bread. By the way, according to Trump, you need ID to buy bread. But they can't even afford bread, but yet they can afford a $400 pair of sneakers that cost about $5 to make. I mean, they're just really intelligent people.
Yeah, right, exactly. And let me ask you a question. Am I the only one that gets up in the morning and checks the news, checks the global obituaries? The first thing?
I like you. You call back anytime, okay?
Yeah,
you're fun. There's someone I'd like to have a beer with. Thank you for the phone call. I appreciate it. Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I think Julian's been waiting on hold for a while, so let's go to Julian next. Hi, Julian.
How's it going?
It's going good, my friend. What's on your mind?
So first off, I just want to say I hate the fact that my name is so close to Julie's. Just, it brings shame onto my name.
I won't call you Julie, I promise.
I appreciate your generosity, and also for not charging me $429 for a $19 pair of shoes.
Well, if you wanted autographs, sir, I can probably get you a deal. It'd be about $9,000. Yeah.
Fantastic. You know what? Come to the pop-up restaurant I run in Vegas, and we'll make a deal.
Great.
But before getting to the abortion thing, I want to hit on something that you talked about yesterday. You asked about why Trump is so obsessed with these authoritarian dictators. And at least my theory is that it's pretty simple. It's because he is, to his core, a weak, pathetic man. And when people lack something, they often idolize what they perceive is that feat. And they often look at a big, glorious version of it, similar to how you see all these fake gurus who sit there and try to pretend to be rich when, I'm sure you know a bunch of wealthy people. I do, whereas they don't live a crazy, flashy lifestyle where they're driving Lambos and doing that stuff. But all these people who pretend to be rich, that's what they do. And so, because they try to get other people to idolize that.
I think that's a good point. I think we all could agree that he is probably the most insecure. Anybody who wears 5 layers of makeup in the morning, he looks like a clown. I would say his father messed him up very badly.
He's mentally ill.
He is a mentally ill, very insecure, petulant child, and he looks at people. Sadly, those that he looks at are the biggest threat to him are the brave men and women that serve this country honorably. He calls people like that suckers and losers, people that lost their life, the ultimate price to pay so that people like you or me can live our lives in this country and have the freedoms that we have. He calls them suckers and losers. John McCain, say what you want about his daughter, my daddy, but I will say this, John McCain was a hero. He will always be a hero. And Donald Trump hates people like that. He hates brave men and women in uniform. He hates people like John McCain because he knows he'll never even come close to that.
Well, it wasn't just John McCain. But I mean, he is a phenomenal. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting him, and he's way funnier in person than the camera ever captured, but his sons also served.
Yeah.
Like they are a military family, and I actually like Meghan McCain, and I've followed her. I've never had the opportunity to meet her, but it's an amazing family.
No
a
question.
family of,
Yep.
of service, and I just don't know why we care what Trump says about. I mean, he's despicable. We know that, and we just give him too much credibility.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, like even later in life when McCain was running against Obama, and there was that crazy woman in Arizona who was, saying that like Obama wasn't American and that he was a Muslim. McCain stopped her and said no.
No, man.
That, like,
He's a decent man. We just disagree on policy, and it's the best moment in my lifetime in any political moment. And Donald Trump would never even dare to do something like that. And I agree with you. I appreciate the call, my man. Thank you so much, and I'll work on getting you those sneakers at half price.
And call back.
Yeah.
You too.
Thanks for the call.
Appreciate it. Take it easy, boss.
Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Roy. Roy is next up on Pushing Limits. Hi, Roy.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Good.
Hi, Ileana.
Hi.
A couple of things. One, I think that Julie should be considered as a vice presidential candidate with Trump. That's
on the right side.
number one. They sound so similar in their thoughts. The other thing is that Alabama was the state that recently put a man to death using nitrogen gas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we see some kind of hypocrisy here?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's crazy, right?
Again,
But
pro-fetus, not pro-life. Yep.
Yeah. The interesting thing is I think that this country is so divided. You really have to decide what state I want to live in, what state I may want to go to college in, because the differences are so staggering, from one state to another state.
Yeah.
Maybe we should divide into two countries and have the red country and the blue country, and then each one can go and do what they please.
Boy, wouldn't that be interesting? I can tell you right now, I think you know which country I would belong to, that's for sure.
I could wager a guess.
The other country would be, among those, there would be Klan rallies every mile. Women wouldn't be allowed to vote. There'd be no brown people in their country.
Right. And we can call that Trump land.
Yep, there'd be no drag queens.
Or Trumpsylvania.
Homosexuality would be illegal. In fact, it would probably be a crime. We would look like a lot of areas, I think, in the Middle East where they will throw somebody off a roof for being gay. And for these,
but
it's crazy.
But that is the crazy thing. The differences from one state to the other state are staggering. I watched the show last night. I think it was called. I think it's Chicago Med, where this woman, her water broke at 15 weeks. And they actually had to drive, I don't know if it was Indiana or a state that borders Illinois, they actually had to drive all the way into Chicago to get her care. And as it turns out, she almost died.
Horrible.
Because she couldn't get the care in her home state.
Horrible.
See, a lot of these shows, they're starting to show this kind of thing to show the nonsensical crap that people have to live with in some of these red states.
Absolutely horrible, and that's why we can't let Donald Trump win in 2024. According to
Heaven
Donald,
forbid.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Biden's so smart, he'll rig the election again. So let's allow Joe Biden to rig the election again because he's so competent and smart. But anyway, Roy, it's good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate the call, my friend. Thank you so much.
Take care.
On a side note, bye-bye, Roy. Thank you for the call. Ileana, on a side note, Carrie Lake is now trying to get on the good side of the McCain family. Now, why is she doing that? Well, if you recall, when she ran for office in Arizona last time around, she badmouthed the McCain family and said she didn't want them, and then she lost the election. And now she's being told, I'm sure, by some competent people around her that, hey, you got to make nice with the McCains because you're not going to win if you lose the McCain vote. So what does she do? She tries to reach to Meghan McCain, who, by the way, I'm not very fond of either. And she wants to meet Meghan McCain for lunch and wants to hash out their differences. And McCain called her a bitch. She said, good,
I like Meghan even more for that.
She called her a bitch on social media. So Carrie Lake didn't win that battle. Maybe next time you shouldn't be going after a war hero and his family, you stupid idiot. So that's again the two-faced, despicable Carrie Lake and the Trumpsters, the Kerry Lakes, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Lauren Boeberts, the George Santoses, those types of people, the Jim Jordans, that's crumbling in his face as well, by the way.
Yep,
if you haven't
for
already
sure.
heard about this FBI informant who apparently, not only did he lie, but even worse, he got misinformation from
Yep.
Russia. And then when Jim Jordan is being asked about it
Intentional.
yesterday by a CNN reporter, he still doubles down on this nonsense. This was their star witness, Sean Hannity, Fox News, OAN Newsmax. They led with this story about this FBI informant and how credible of a source he was.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, when we find out he's a liar, he got his information from Russia, they don't even report on it. I mean, how do you, if you're a Republican, I know there's many of you out there, and you're a MAGA supporter, how do you watch these news networks? How do you watch? They didn't even report on the fact they've been representing this man who is a liar, who got his information from Russia. And Sean Hannity hasn't even mentioned it on his show. And Jim Jordan and these punks, these right-wing idiots in office, they're being questioned on it after they said every day that this guy was a great, credible source. And now when they're questioned on it, they're still doubling down on what he said. It makes my head want to explode.
We've become this. Oh, I mean, it's becoming to the point where if you lie, it's okay. Like if you misrepresent the truth, it's okay. And I don't understand how we got. Well, I kind of understand how we got here, but my goodness, and it started with the Tea Party, right? And it's just. So now you have a lot of mainstream Republicans that are just resigning, right? They're in the prime of their political career and they're saying, nope, we're done. So you have MAGA and then you have regular Republicans. They're not one and the same.
Ridiculous. And these people that say, Brian, you sound triggered. Interesting.
Oh, listening to Jim Jordan, I get triggered. Like that is, it's absolutely painful.
I'm wondering,
For sure.
when Donald Trump goes after women based on looks, did you call him triggered? When Donald Trump went after Nikki Haley's husband and made fun of him because he's overseas deployed, did you call Donald Trump triggered? Or when he defamed this woman who he sexually abused, did you call him triggered? When he literally goes after Gold Star families and Mexicans, rapists and bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people, did you call Donald Trump triggered? Because the petulant child goes after every single person that disagrees with him, and he defames them, and he enjoys when they are in misery. Did you call him triggered then? No, sir. I am not triggered. I am honest, and I have passion, and I call out bad people on this program, and I call out bad policy, and I call out people that are uneducated and clueless to what is going on in the real world, and people that don't understand accomplishments compared to failures. Donald Trump's entire life is a failure. His father gave him a $500 million company. He's turned it into shambles. And all the companies that he's had that have filed for bankruptcy. It's very, very simple to me. I appreciate you being here, Ileana. This is obviously a very
my pleasure.
Touchy subject, abortion,
It
and
is.
when it comes to embryos, it always is. And I always try to tell people, let people live their lives and do what they want to do. If you want to have 1,000 kids, go right ahead. If you want to have a bunch of orange MAGA Republicans, go ahead and do that. But don't tell me and don't tell my family and don't tell women in this country what to do. Seems pretty reasonable, right? You would think most people would think that would be reasonable. But
And because of this decision, some of those families will get, or some of the MAGA families who are trying to conceive will be hurt in this as well. Again, they don't understand what they did. I really truly believe that they have no understanding what the ramifications are going to be.
Yeah, no question about that. But I appreciate you being here and getting a
My
female's
pleasure.
perspective in talking about this, which is a very sensitive topic.
It
But
is.
I appreciate you being here, and you'll be here again soon, I know, Ileana. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I want to
everybody.
give out my socials, if that's okay, my socials.
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to hear more left-wing George Soros propaganda, I know some of the MAGAs, my YouTube page, where we're going to continue the show, you can subscribe for free. It's at PTL Radio Show. It's completely free. Subscribe on there. You could also go on my Facebook page, the PTL Radio Show fan page. You could also go on my X, my Twitter. Why do they call it X? I don't know. You can go on my Twitter page at PTL Radio. So find me on all those social media platforms. It's where I will continue the show on there.
But definitely sign up for YouTube and go do that now. Everybody listening and listening in the future, go to his YouTube page. It's fantastic, and he's going to put a bunch of amazing content. I'm going to do some with him.
Yes, and I'm after every show starting next week. After every show, which ends at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to be doing an extra 5-minute overtime, so to speak, Bill Maher-esque, on my personal YouTube page. So you're going to want to see that. So please check that out. Also, I do have a website where you can actually contact the people that are behind this show. It's www.ptlradio.com. That's ptlradio.com. If you want to go on my personal website and sign up.
And they can ask you some questions through YouTube as well, right? They can communicate
YouTube is great. If you subscribe on my not mine, but the Occupy Democrats page, if you subscribe, it's $5 a month. You get to interact with me anytime you want on the Messenger, and I respond back, and you get extra content from me as well. So I appreciate everybody joining us on all the social media platforms. Again, I appreciate Ileana for joining us in studio. The big man, Paul McKeskey, is going to be joining us next. A little sports coming up next. How would he improve the NBA All-Star Weekend? We'll talk a little bit about that and much, much more. Again, we're going to finish this show on my YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show, if you want to subscribe there. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this, and I'm going to have a pair of tickets to give away, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that as well. We'll be right back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air